So oddly enough, I'm not a big sci-fi fan, or at least that's what I've been telling myself for the last 10 years. I find most sci-fi stuff so preoccupied with showing off special effects and weird technology over prioritizing a compelling story. And when they do try to prioritize the story, it ends up becoming overly complicated and trite, with usually a focus on politics and intergalactic lingo. And at least for me, they miss the key draw of a good story, that being a human connection with an engaging conflict. And this brings me to the original Star Wars trilogy. Movies that I was lucky enough to have parents who introduced me to them at a young age. Movies that I rewatched over and over again as a little kid. Now, a lot of time has passed since then, and a lot of other Star Wars movies and shows have been released since then. Now, criticizing Disney's mutilation of the Star Wars IP is futile. Tons of other YouTubers have already done that, so I've got nothing else to add. And on top of that, I'm not really that big of a Star Wars fan. Not at all. I'm a casual enjoyer who knows little to nothing about the lore. If you want my Star Wars credentials, then I'd say I've seen the original trilogy, the prequel trilogy, the Disney trilogy, and the Disney spin-off films up to this year in 2025. As far as the shows go, I've seen the first 2 seasons of The Mandalorian. I haven't seen any of the other Star Wars shows. I have played some of the games, such as the original LEGO Star Wars Force Unleashed, and Star Wars Battlefront, the new ones. But that's it. As I said, I'm a casual enjoyer. Though I will note, I haven't enjoyed Star Wars for a long time. Almost everything Disney has done with the franchise has really put me off and left me with no love or interest in the Star Wars universe, which is why I decided to attempt to rekindle my love by focusing on the original trilogy. It's important to note, I don't want this video to be viewed as a review, a recommendation, an analysis, or anything professional like that. I'm Jem the Dreadful, not Jem the Professional. You see, most of us already know Star Wars was great. Most of us know it is definitely still worth watching, and nothing I say will change that. But many of us have fallen off thanks to the new stuff. So I wanted to take this time to do a light reflection on the original trilogy, a trilogy that for many made their childhoods. First of all, wow, there really is a high level of nostalgia when viewing the original trilogy. I mean, the planet designs are immaculate, from Tatooine to Hoth to Endor, regardless of the fact these planets can be boiled down to the desert planet, the snow planet, the forest planet, which theoretically is less interesting than our own planet of Earth. But I mean, it's simple in concept, but in execution, excellent. And that's thanks to the creature slash alien designs, which was amazing. I mean, I don't know if it's just me, but I love the physical puppet like stuff they used to do back then, like in Gremlins, Dark Crystal, or Labyrinth. Some movies that use that style, and personally, I find it really, really creepy and unsettling, but I love it nonetheless, especially in Labyrinth. But yeah, Star Wars. I mean, you can tell it's an outfit or a design with the aliens. Like, there's something about it that holds it back from feeling fully real, but it doesn't really matter because it's cool, and most importantly, it feels physical. Like, there's actual contact there. Like, you can touch it, unlike with usual CGI stuff. And these aliens and creatures really bring the world to life. For example, just looking at A New Hope, we got those weird little Jawa guys. I always found them a little eerie looking and also sort of cute. Then again, I don't know what's going on under those hoods they wear. Another example would be the Tusken Raiders. And I mean, was it just me or were these guys actually a little terrifying? I mean, not anymore, but they're so animal-like and aggressive. Now it's kind of just funny, but when I first saw it, I mean, like, screw running into those guys in the desert. I've also got to mention the Wampa from Empire Strikes Back, because these guys might be my favorite alien design. They're basically Yetis with horns, and just looking at one of these, you know it could rip your limbs apart, and I love it. Uh, Two more aliens I think are worth mentioning. First, Ewoks. Ewoks are very interesting because Star Wars fans hate them, or some Star Wars fans hate them, I should say, and some love them. Either way, they're not going anywhere anytime soon, but yeah, I get the complaint about them, especially in Return of the Jedi where they appear, it being the final part of the trilogy and them having such a wildly different tone whenever the Ewoks are on screen is different. And I've heard a lot of people say the Ewoks were only introduced uh, to sell toys, which I could see, but they're fine. I like their design. Tiny little bear people. I don't personally have any problem with the Ewoks, but yeah, I don't know. It's just interesting. Anyway, I also wanted to bring up Wookiees. Mainly Chewbacca, of course. And as far as alien companions go, I don't know if I've liked any more than him. I mean, we've got droids, which I usually find to be a mixed bag, but there hasn't really been an equivalent to Chewbacca, so shout out to not only a cool design, but a great character. Now, the alien creatures are all great, but they wouldn't be much without excellent sound design. Not even just the music composed by John Williams, which is excellent and so frickin' iconic, matching the creature or person on screen, whether they're good or evil, offering such a unique array of instrumental solitude to fully immerse you in the environment. I mean, these songs have stuck in my head ever since I first heard them, so the music, it's amazing. I'm at a loss for words whenever I hear it. But I want to talk about other stuff, like the sound design specifically for creatures and ships and stuff, blasters, lightsabers. You see, they created such a unique set of sounds to bring the Star Wars universe to life. I mean, just listen to the TIE fighters. So freaking cool. And these freaking blaster sounds. Perfection. The hum of the lightsabers. Oh my god, I'm drooling right now. And all of these weird alien sounds and droids. As I said earlier, I'm not even a Star Wars fan, but I freaking love this stuff. It's just golden. Yeah, it's really a lot, and it really helps cement these characters, these ships, this universe in your mind. And thanks to the sound design. So another thing that brings this world to life is the way they filmed them. There's like a level of continuous confidence on display throughout these films. Like shots don't hold back from showcasing detail within the world and a wide framing to depict scope. If the cinematography wasn't so good, then these alien planets wouldn't feel like planets. But they do, thanks to Gilbert Taylor, Peter Schutzty, and Alan Hume. So kudos to them for helping bring all this together. Okay, so all this helps bring this universe to life, but in all fairness, modern Star Wars maintains a lot of that stuff, like the sound design, the music, the cinematography, but what it doesn't maintain is something deeper. You see, while cinematography, music, sound design, and special effects helped give Star Wars its soul, it was the cast of characters that gave it its heart. They were the ones who helped tell a story about adventure, rebellion, inner turmoil, and finding hope. So let's go through them in mostly the order they were introduced. So, the droids R2D2 and C3PO. Firstly, they look great and they are a very iconic duo that helped distinguish how unreal this world is from our own. Like R2's talking and he's just like beep beep beep, and whoever he's talking to is like, "Yep, exactly." Or they start arguing with the droid, and it's like its own language that some humans can understand. It's complete nonsense, but they all take it seriously, and so I'm willing to as well. And yeah, it's fun to show off the world a bit. And yeah, the droids definitely help break up the pacing a little bit. So Princess Leia, man, I don't think people knew how well they had it back then as far as writing a female character. Seriously, compare the way they wrote Leia to Rey. It's night and day. And yes, I know they're two very different characters. My point is, one of those characters is at least somewhat relatable and clearly has flaws that you can somewhat connect to, while Rey is pretty much perfect from the start, and she's dull and, I don't know, just uninteresting. Not Leia though. She's got a little sass, a little attitude, a little diplomacy, and she can't do literally everything. She's just like the other characters in these movies. She needs a team, and yeah, I find her to be believable within the world. Carrie Fisher did a great job giving her an actual personality. So, okay, Obi-Wan Kenobi. Interestingly enough, I think Alec Guinness' performance is often forgotten, and most people just think of Obi from the prequels played by Ewan McGregor, which is a testament to how great Ewan McGregor's performance was. Because seriously, Alec Guinness's OG Obi was really good, and he wasn't even in the original trilogy that much, but he's got such a mysterious and whimsical approach to the character, almost remaining unnaturally calm, yet always seemingly having like a little smile on his face. He's like the coolest Jedi as far as I'm concerned. Alright, Luke Skywalker. Probably the biggest character who's been sullied in the Disney trilogy, but let's ignore that. Luke really goes on a classic hero's journey in these original 3 movies. From annoying farm boy to a less annoying Jedi to finally a badass Jedi Knight. Talk about a character actually having growth and seeing a visual change in the character. The way he talks, the way he dresses and walks, the way he fights, and the way he handles tense situations. It all changes naturally throughout these movies. Definitely Mark Hamill's most iconic role, just slightly above the Joker, at least for me. Alright, so Han Solo. Damn, Harrison Ford really has had a lot of career-defining roles. But I mean, this is just cool. Han Solo is just cool. A smuggler with a quick draw, a loyal furry companion, not that kind of furry, and probably the single most iconic spaceship of all time. He's really got it all, and his connection to the other characters really helps bring his performance back down to Earth, or a space, whatever. Han Solo's cool, and that's all I've got to say. Oh yeah, and Chewie too. Alright, real quick, I'm gonna talk about 2 characters I've always thought were overrated before talking about my 2 favorites. So get your pitchforks ready. I'm probably about to piss you off. So first of all, Lando Calrissian is an interesting character. Maybe he's not overrated, but I don't know. How many of you like Lando? I mean, I sort of like how eccentrically he dresses. I like the way he talks. Like, he's got a certain attitude about him. But I mean, I guess it's difficult to like him when he backstabs Han. So yeah, I mean, I like the villains because they are villains. But Lando, he's introduced as a good guy who isn't actually a good guy. That being said, he is a good character, and he did help move the story forward. I'm just not a fan, even though, you know, he does kind of redeem himself in the following movie. But yeah, I don't know. Alright, I'm not sure if the general consensus has changed much. I imagine not too much, but hear me out. Boba Fett is overrated. I know, a bad take. Dislike video and tab out, but seriously, I get the appeal of Boba Fett. It's just, he doesn't really do much. He's got a cool design, some cool weapons, I'll give you that. I don't know. I think it's the silent, brooding personality type that doesn't work for me within this specific character. We learn pretty much nothing about him in the original trilogy, and so I don't really find him to be a cool character besides his look, which, to be honest, I personally didn't really think his look was as cool as some of the other characters. And see, I don't really find him to be as cool of a character. He just doesn't really do much. And feel free to tell me in the comments why my opinion is wrong about Boba, and I'll read it. I really don't mind. This is just my opinion. Alright, ending on a far more positive note when discussing characters, we gotta talk about Emperor Palpatine and, of course, Darth Vader. Now, these 2 are just the best. Firstly, Ian McDiarmid as Palpatine. damn, this guy is just, he's evil, and I love him. I mean, just look at this sexy, dark, cloaked... Uh, sorry about that. Yeah, the Emperor is cool, and I don't know what to say besides I love the way he talks and manipulates things. I love seeing him use Force Lightning. I love it when he gets really into being evil and he starts laughing and rejoicing in the moment. I just simply love the Emperor as a final villain. He takes so much joy in everything he's doing. It's very fun to watch. Now, the Emperor wouldn't work so well if it wasn't for Darth Vader, who was voiced by James Earl Jones. And when I think the best part of Star Wars, I usually think of Darth Vader. His voice, his presence, his immovable power. And yeah, I think Vader is one of those characters that even in future movies, shows, and games, they've managed to get his portrayal right. Like, he's always intimidating and kind of terrifying, which makes him so cool. And unfortunately, while reading a little bit about James Earl Jones, I discovered something that's not great. So if you don't know, James Earl Jones sadly passed away in 2024. And I didn't really want to get into this, but I feel I have to, and I don't mean any disrespect to the actor because he did something amazing. So before anybody says that, he did a great job. I have nothing against the guy, and he lived a pretty great life, it seems. So, alright, so before he died, he actually signed his voice over to be used in AI to replicate it for future Darth Vader stuff. Now this, to me, really kind of sucks. On one hand, you could say he'll live on forever through the progressive generation of his voice on Darth Vader. On another, it's really sad that this is the direction our entertainment industry is heading. I mean, regardless of your thoughts on AI, I don't know how you could be in support of AI taking over entertainment, taking over art. When we reduce our humanity's passion for creation down to scripted code, we end up losing the soul tether that binds us all together. Art, or in this instance, theater, cinema, something that brought people together to discuss, to criticize, to love, and to hate. These very human films with human errors, human writing, human acting, and human passion. Passion for the art form. Not just some nobody who has some stupid story idea and decided to run it through an AI generator, but people who had the dedication to create and put the work in. It's this form of art, whether it's writing, music, acting, or voice acting, human emotion, brought to light by humans for humans. It's all of this that makes you connect to others, that brings us all down to earth and allows us to stay human, stay real, stay together. Anyway, about James Earl Jones, I get it, I do. I can't say I don't judge, I get it. Maybe he did it for the fans, or maybe he did it for the money. Either way, I do get it, but I can't help but to feel it's this mindset that brings us closer and closer to a world of artificial, soulless, tailor-made content made to cash in and cause brain rot. But yeah, regardless, I do appreciate the performance James Earl Jones gave us, and I really wanted to take a moment because I think there's this mindset, this idea that through AI you can be immortalized throughout time. But for these actors, people like James Earl Jones, he was going to be immortalized regardless of AI, thanks to his performance, voice acting Darth Vader. It didn't matter, but AI, to me, will almost diminish the original performance because it's not him anymore. So either way, he gave us one of the most legendary performances of all time, voice acting one of the greatest villains of all time. So I just wanted to at least highlight that. Yeah. Alright, let's wrap this up. Star Wars has had so many different meanings for so many people. For some, it's their childhood, containing iconic moments and lines to be quoted for the rest of their lives. For others, it's an old franchise, still hanging on. They don't fully understand what made it special, they just see some weird old sci-fi movies. And for some, it's a franchise ruined by ego, personal politics and spat on by greedy, selfish CEOs who never cared about Star Wars as an idea. They just saw money. And for me, Star Wars represents a franchise far past its prime, yet with so many rich stories to tell and adapt, but with so much incompetence to overcome. I'll just say this, if Star Wars can come back and become the same cultural phenomenon it once was, then any franchise can come back and be better. Until that day, we just have to reminisce and hold on to old memories. Remember why we love this stuff in the first place. Remember Star Wars was, and in some ways remains, at least in the original films, a masterpiece. Thank you so much for watching. I know I didn't cover the plot, which some of you may have wanted, but I really just wanted to take the time to reminisce on the stuff that made Star Wars, and I've seen so many videos where people just talk about the plot, and I really didn't want to just repeat that. I was just kind of trying to just make a video talking a bit about Star Wars, and maybe in the future I will go over the plot. If I do, I'd like to bring that all together in a video where I also talk about the prequel movies as well. But yeah, thanks for watching anyway. I appreciate your time. If you want to help support me on YouTube, consider hitting the thumbs up icon below and even subscribing if you haven't already. And yeah, see you on the next one.